Hi, everybody. Have you heard about World Earth Day? This week, people in over 180 countries will be celebrating Earth Day. Earth Day is a day for reflection on how we can take care of our planet and how we can take action. The first Earth Day was held 50 years ago. Since then, many things have happened to our planet. Many people have been taking care, and many people have been destroying our planet. It's time for us to reflect on what we can do. The theme for this year's Earth Day is climate action. I was told that your teachers have been talking about this topic this year. You have been studying about things like the carbon cycle and weather. It is a topic that many people are not taking seriously. Climate change is one of our biggest challenges because of all the consequences that will affect our lives and the lives of all the living beings on Earth. Here are just a few threats to life on the planet Earth. The coral reefs are dying. Millions of people rely on ocean food. This is going to affect many people's lives. Animals and plants are struggling to adapt to the changes, threatening our food security, health, and quality of life. The rising global temperatures are melting ice caps and glaciers, which will cause coastal flooding and the disappearance of low-lying islands, which will create migration. Changes of temperature and rainfall will increase the amount of insects that can carry deadly diseases that can make people very, very sick. Millions of people will need to move, causing major conflicts throughout the world. This is already happening between Africa and Europe. We've also been seeing a lot of storms and natural disasters throughout the world that are causing great economic losses for many, many countries, many, many people. So a big question is, climate change human, man-made, or is it a natural phenomenon? Well, the scientists have been using tremendous amounts of technology, giving us data that we can't ignore anymore. We need to trust what the scientists are telling us. There is a lot of fake news out there, but we should be able to trust the United Nations and NASA scientists and other major scientific organizations that are telling us that we are causing climate change. As you know, it's hard to prove what the results of climate change, but we're seeing changes. For example, here's the Paraná River this month. It's the lowest they've seen it in many, many, many decades. And Foz do Iguaçu is drying up. Now I'd like to show you a video from National Geographic on the causes and effects of climate change.
Human activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main cause is a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. Gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the Earth's temperature. Human activities, like the burning of fossil fuels, have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than a third since the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at an alarming rate. While Earth's climate has fluctuated in the past, atmospheric carbon dioxide hasn't reached today's levels in hundreds of thousands of years. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets, such as Greenland and Antarctica, are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift, and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles, which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change.
So you saw that climate change is very serious, and scientists, they've been gathering data on global temperatures since the late 1800s. Here is some information to compare the amount of greenhouse gas concentration and the correlation between the two. As the greenhouse gas quantities go up, you can see that the temperatures have gone up. So there's a direct correlation between the two. What do you think are the main causes of climate change? Here are some of the biggest causes. The biggest cause probably is the burning of fossil fuels for transportation, energy production, and manufacturing. Farming is also a big contributor. Massive amounts of land is needed, removing plants that filter carbon gases. Lots of methane gas is released in the digestion process of animals such as cows. It's 20 times stronger than CO2. The organic waste created at farms creates tons of methane as well, and fertilizers release a tremendous amount of nitrogen gases. The destruction of forests also reduced the capacity of plants to remove carbon dioxide. The burn and slash methods of deforestation puts tons of greenhouse gases back into the atmosphere. This is happening in Brazil. Some other major causes are from industries and construction of buildings and homes, as well as landfills. Landfills create tremendous amounts of methane gas. We've been living through some difficult times with the coronavirus crisis, but we could look at it as a way to reflect a little differently on our lives. We are learning that we are all connected. We care about helping each other. We know that we cannot wait for the next crisis to happen before we react. We need to be proactive. Do something before it's too late. Many people are starting to look closely at the future of our planet. The pandemic has actually made us look at the world in a different way. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to look at it in a different way. We also are noticing some things happening that's evidence that what the humans do to the planet have a great impact. We are starting to see changes. Like, for example, in India, in the north of India, they haven't been able to see the Himalayan mountains for 30 years. But because of the lockdown and people staying home and using less transportation and less factories operating, they actually are seeing that the air is much cleaner. In China, look at these satellite images. In China, in 2019 to the left, the red or the pink there was showing how much air pollution was in that region. In 2020, there was a lot less. It's just a few months that are showing a difference. And other interesting things that are happening is that nature is recovering. These coyotes were spotted near the Golden Gate Bridge recently, which no one has ever seen coyotes there. So nature is kind of coming back or showing us that during this time, there's an opportunity to save the planet. It's time to reflect and rethink of what we can do to reduce climate change. We cannot wait for another crisis to happen. Time is ticking away. I don't know if you saw this month's National Geographic issue, but it's very interesting. For the first time ever, they made a magazine with two front covers. So if you open up on one side of the magazine, it shows you what's been happening to the Earth in the last 50 years. And it's kind of like the disaster of, what we've done to the planet. And if you open up the other half of the magazine, it's the optimistic view of what we can do to save the planet in the next 50 years. I think this is something for us to think about. We need to be optimistic. We need to be optimistic, but we need to take action. And you can even take actions at home during the pandemic crisis by just thinking about some of these things here. Reducing waste. Don't waste food. Reusing things. Share the things that you don't need. Don't go out and buy new things. Wash your clothes only when they're dirty. I mean, it's a simple thing. Reuse bags and boxes when you go out to buy things at the supermarket. Reduce your energy consumption. Reduce your water consumption. Reduce meat consumption. Research about environmental conservation organizations and then teach other peoples. You can even do a carbon footprint with your family. Remember, it doesn't matter how much you do. It just really makes a difference if you do something. And the more people that do something, the bigger the change will be. We can all make a difference. Remember, our school is a green school. We have a reputation for taking care of our planet. We can even do that at home. Before I go, I would like to just remind you, it's really important for us to stay connected to nature. And on our virtual learning page on our school website, there's a booklet to help give you some ideas to help you stay connected. And also, there's information about buying food from our sustainability market vendors. I just also wanted to say that, I think you realize we only have one planet. It's an amazing planet. So please help us take care of this planet. Thank you for listening to me, and happy Earth Day to all of you.